Welcome back to Commodity Champions, and one sector that has been craving attention all this while has been agriculture. Remember, it is the largest informal sector of the country, has shown some resilience to demonetization, but the farmer income growth has been lower. It has been declining because of the perishable commodity prices also falling down. But this is the sector that is also watching quite keenly towards the budget sector as well. Let's welcome Mr. S.K. Goel, who is former Principal Secretary, Government of Maharashtra. Mr. Goel, hi, good to have you. There have been many policies that have been launched by central and state governments. How have you seen many of these perform? And would you say that they start with a fanfare, but the implementation or the groundwork is something that's still a question mark?
There are schemes which have been announced by Government of India as well as various state governments. There have been some path-breaking initiatives which have been taken, the most important being the National Agriculture Market. But these schemes are still to mature. There are a lot of issues involved. For example, for National Agriculture Market, creation of a cadre of assessors. There has to be logistic arrangements from one market to another, and making it little more widespread, taking it to the farmers as well as to the transporters, logistic operators and traders. The second scheme which has been quite path-breaking is Prime Minister's Fasal Bima Yojana, where the premium has been brought down to 2% for Kharif and 1.5% for Rabi. The acceptance of the scheme has gone up. The coverage also has gone up. The premium which have been collected by the farmers is low, but what has been going to the insurance companies is at the actuarial rate, and it has gone up considerably. Probably we are now the highest country in terms of the total insurance premium collected anywhere in the world. But there are challenges which involve in terms of the assessment of the damages, which will require the use of technologies like remote sensing, the satellite pictures, maybe we will require drones technology and so forth, but that is still to come.
Absolutely. Mr. Goel, that is well understood because the industry demands a lot of stuff, but what is your sense on the budget expectations for the agri sector now, because this is one big thing that clearly is on the priority?
So, budget every year increases the expectations of the farmers in a big way, and this will not be any exception, particularly after the impact of demonetization, where you will see from the newspaper reports that the farmers and all across the value chain, the operators are having certain issues. Now, I would like to see that in the next budget, there is one announcement which is related to the establishment of value chains. That is, all the corporate players, SMEs, startups are asked by the government to come and establish value chains which connect a certain number of farmers in a given crop to the market all across the value chain. And in that value chain, wherever the government can chip in by way of their number of schemes which they already have, it may not require any additional allocation by the government, but it will require a new way of looking at as to how the government intervenes in the agriculture sector.
Fair point. Well, you're really right, because, as you said, we don't need new schemes. It is the implementation of the schemes that is most important. But as you were putting across that point of corporate investments in agri, that, of course, is quite low. There are very few success stories to read around.
Yeah, this public-private partnership policy was announced in 2012 by Government of India, but it was not pursued vigorously. What I know of is it was taken up by Maharashtra. Now Andhra has picked up it is now being picked up by Karnataka as well. But other than these 2-3 states, it has not taken a right shape. In fact, wherever it is started with a lot of fanfare and then slowly died down. The reason being is that, again, in terms of finances, the production systems and marketing systems, these three systems will have to come together to make it a success. Whether it is by an agri startup, or is it by an SME, or by a corporate player?
You are very right. There was absolutely, we need more participation, as you said, by corporates, by SMEs, by banks, and that really would be most welcome by the agriculture sector. Mr. Goyal, thank you so much for joining us and giving us that perspective. Let's also get in now Mr. R. Ramaseshan, who is Vice Chairman at Rashtriya E-Market Services Private Limited. Mr. Ramaseshan, hi, good to have you as well. Agriculture is always given a lot of emphasis when it comes to policy making by the government, but we don't always see that full impact being passed through.
Well, there is, as you rightly said, there has been a lot of talk about investments in agriculture, but essentially the corporate sector is a little shy of actually putting the money where the mouth is, if you can use that. Because of lack of policies, lack of direction, and everybody feels it's more of a government game. So unless we change this perspective that it's not a government game, there is money to be made in, there is investment to come in, we do have a problem. There is a disconnect between what we talk and what we actually see in the field.
Well, yes. I also want to bring your attention to ENAM. Well, that was started by PM an year and more back. Where are we on that now? Because the kind of numbers that were being discussed, we really are not onto that yet.
You see, on a conceptual basis, one market, one country, one market works well. But when you actually work it out in detail, there cannot be one market for the entire country, because we have certain commodities which are regional in nature, certain commodities which are national in nature. So we need to cater to a wide variety of markets. So unless we build the markets bottom up, we won't be reaching one country, one market scenario. So we are yet to scratch the surface, if I can use the word, but the ENAM initiative has to go down to the last village, look at mapping the commodity to the nearest market and build a series of local markets on which the national market as ENAM sits in. I think that is a work they have to start off. It's just, I would say, the beginning. There's lots and lots more to be done now.
What are your expectations as well from budget this time around? Because the agri sector farmers have had some hardships from demonetization.
The demonetization has actually taken away a part of purchasing power at the rural level. And it's quite possible that it will spill over to the farm sector in terms of the area that could be brought in under cultivation, etc. So as a policy antidote, I would say that we must find ways of putting more cash, more money into the farmer's hands, either through an enhanced credit mechanism or by pumping in inputs in a certain way that cash does not affect his ability to actually get into the field. I think we need to get that right, and maybe the budget should address this more from a short-term perspective and also from a long-term perspective of building in the incentives.
Also, what does India need from Agri, in sense of short-term measures, in sense of long-term measures as well? Because we understand that the seed and fertilizers is the need for the very near term, but infra is something that we keep pushing ahead when it comes to long-term incentives.
Basically, on a short-term perspective, it is a question of getting your logistics right, whether it is the pre-harvest stage or the post-harvest stage. And if you get your logistics right in terms of making available the inputs at the right time, and at the post-harvest stage making available a market for the farmer, you have cracked the short-term problem. But cracking a single-year short-term problem actually has to be looked at from the long-term perspective, wherein the profile of agriculture is likely to change. With more people migrating out of agriculture and to service sector, which is likely to happen. How the short term fuses itself into a long term, that change will have to be really guessed, that change will have to be addressed, and that is where the challenge is in terms of policy making. Very easy to say but quite difficult to implement, but we need to make a beginning somewhere.
Well, absolutely. On that positive note, Mr. Ramaseshan, we will let you go. That is what our experts are telling us, that it is a difficult time when it comes to the agriculture sector. The budget perhaps can come out on something on value chains and implementations of scheme better. And of course, there is a need for public-private partnership, corporates, young blood and banks to come quite actively in case of agriculture sector as well. But with that, it's a wrap up on this edition of Commodity Champions. Thank you for watching.